You are a human being capable of things beyond your wildest imagination. And if you apply yourself to a new skill over a long period of time, I find that you start to do better at it and you start to build a little bit of confidence when it comes to that specific thing.
Kindness.
Why kindness?
Because it makes a difference.
For connection.
Kindness can change lives.
It's contagious.
The science says you'll be glad you did.
Kindness is the key to a healthier, happier world.
Why kindness? While no one answer is the same, one thing is clear. Kindness is something we all know, but do we know why it matters? I'm your host, Jaclyn Lindsey, co-founder CEO of kindness.org, and you're listening to Why Kindness. Hello, Kindmakers, and welcome to another episode of the Why Kindness podcast. I am super excited to welcome our guest today. Sam Demma is a best-selling author and one of the most in-demand keynote speakers today. He has shared the stage with icons like Cardinal Official and Sarah Blackwood, collaborated with brands like Taco Bell, delivered 2 TEDx talks, and has toured his messages across Canada, the United States, and Kenya. His work is often featured on national news shows like Marilyn Dennis, Breakfast Television, and most notably, his mom's Facebook. Sam delivers hundreds of performances annually, and his comical and entertaining performances address empathy, mental health, and leadership. This episode, you'll hear the vulnerable story of someone who was destined to be a soccer star and through injury had to figure out a life different than that dream. We are so honored to welcome Sam to the show. Hi, Sam. Thanks for joining us today.
My friend, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we like to open up and ask the question, why kindness? What would you say back to that?
Why not? I mean, what is the alternative to kindness? Rudeness? Indifference? I think those are things the world doesn't need more of. It needs people who are genuine, loving, caring, and kind, who recognize that as individuals, as human beings, we have so much shared humanity and more in common than we do different. And if that's a belief we carry, kindness becomes the only option. You know, if you treat every person you meet the same way you treat someone you love, that's why kindness, because we're all connected.
Hear, hear. I love that. Thank you. What I love about that question is it's never the same. Like kindness is so personal and so intimate, and we all understand it differently and think about it differently. And that's what we're really here to do, is to hear from people from around the world on their journey and how they landed on kindness being important to them. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, your background, where life began for you.
I am so proud to be the son of Joe and Stacy Demma and the grandson of my grandparents, Nana Francis, Nana Sam, Yaya, and Papu Markakos is on the Greek and Italian sides. My grandparents came to this country, immigrated here on boats, and raised my parents here. And they instilled these values of kindness and love and compassion and hard work and truth and integrity, all these good things into my parents, which I'm so fortunate my parents have instilled into me and my sister, Francesca. I live in Pickering, Ontario. I'm a proud Canadian. I do travel to the US a lot as well. I grew up wanting to play professional soccer at a very young age. That was a big part of my life in childhood. And my whole family rallied around that mission and helped in so many ways that I didn't recognize until I became a young adult. The fact that your parent can finish a full day of work and then commit another 4 hours a day to driving you an hour to practice and sitting 2 hours in the car and driving an hour back home just to, help their child try and bring this dream to life. So selfless. And that helped a lot with the soccer journey. By the time I was 13, I had moved to Italy and was playing with a club for 6 months that thought they would sign me professionally. Ended up eating a lot of pizza, gained like 15 pounds. But it changed my life. And I came back home, dedicated my entire high school experience to soccer and sports and academics. Then I had 3 major knee injuries, 2 surgeries, lost a full ride Division I soccer scholarship, lost all passion for showing up to school, didn't want to leave my bedroom.
Hmm.
And I just, I felt worthless. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I was so fortunate that I had a caring adult, my world issues teacher named Mr. Loudfoot, who was always talking about changing the world. And he taught this lesson in class one day that a small, consistent action can make a really big impact. And he said, go in the community and take a small action towards something you want to solve. I didn't have anything I wanted to solve. So I kept asking myself, what is your small action going to be? And that reflective question walking home from school led me to begin picking up garbage that I saw on the sidewalk. And then a buddy saw me and said, why don't we do this together as a community? So we spoke in front of our whole high school to recruit students to come pick up trash with us on Saturday mornings. The first cleanup, there was only 4 people. It was me, Dylan, and our moms. And it slowly grew. We continued that project for about 6 years, filled a couple thousand bags of trash. And through it, I developed this passion for storytelling or using your own personal experiences to move other people emotionally and help them make better choices. And that's led me to a lot of the work I do today, speaking to young people, professionals, and educators all around North America. That's in a nutshell a little bit about myself and kind of where I'm from.
Thank you. And I'm definitely excited to unpack what you're currently up to with your speaking. I know it's incredibly inspiring. Before we get there, I want to go back a little bit when you talk about things like feeling worthless, hard to get out of bed. I
Yeah.
feel like similar to kindness, which affects everyone. I think those are feelings that can impact all of us. I know young children all the way up to grown adults that struggle with those same feelings. Tell us a little bit about what you were going through. So you had your heart set on being a soccer player, and when that dream was lost eventually, you had to figure out a new path, a new purpose. Like, I want to understand a bit more of what young Sam was going through.
Young Sam would run around the family room shouting at his father, Dad, one day that's going to be me on the TV. Young Sam had all of his aunts and uncles at family functions telling him, you're going to be the one kid in our family that we support and watch playing for the national team. Young Sam's email address was soccersam99@hotmail.com. It's like soccer and Sam were not separate. They were inseparable. And I think over time, and a lot of people do this, myself included, we start to associate our self-worth with our talents, our achievements, and the good work that we do in the world, instead of recognizing that we are a human being, not a human doing, as one of my good friends, Kelsey Connor, always says. And after soccer ended, the thought that went through my mind was, did I just waste, you know, 10 years or 13 years of my life working on this thing, and now I have nothing to show for it? I didn't have a plan B at the time of what I was really passionate about studying or getting into in school, so I felt lost from an academic perspective and a professional perspective. I actually unfollowed a lot of my teammates because even seeing things about the sport made me feel really insignificant, uncertain about the future. Um, so that those were some of the, I guess, thoughts and feelings that were going through my head and what I was dealing with back at that point in time. And what helped me shift out of it was getting involved in things outside of the thing that I was grieving. When you go from having a full calendar to a totally empty one, you don't know what to do with it. And the process of just saying yes to invitations really took my life down a different path. Whether that was volunteering, getting involved in the community, showing up to support friends with things they had going on, starting to join different groups like Toastmasters and totally things that were outside of my comfort zone so that I wasn't just sitting at home. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that gives you some context.
Yeah.
Kind of what I was going through.
Yeah, no, it really does. Thank you for being so transparent with it. A lot of how we think about the role of kindness through the work at kindness.org is this reminder that every act makes a difference. Like, one thing can truly change the course of your life. It can be an incredibly small action, and these reminders of the power of that. So I'd love to go back to your journey walking home after your teacher. What was the teacher's name?
Mr. Loudfoot.
Yeah. So was it an assignment, or was it more he just gave this inspiring monologue and then you were reflecting on it?
He veered off the curriculum the high school expected him to teach because he had binders filled with history that he was passionate about sharing with young people. And at the start of the semester, he stacked all these pieces of paper on a little desk in front of the classroom and basically said, here's the deal. We're not going to get through half of this, but we're going to try to get through as much as we can. And then he put the stack of paper away, stood in front of the class every day, and taught like a university professor would. He would lecture, not sitting at his desk. He would stand in front of us and he would lecture, and people would raise their hands, and he'd allow interruptions and debates. And there was this one lesson in class where he broke down the lives of a few individuals in history. One of them was a gentleman named William Wilberforce that helped with the abolition of slavery overseas. And I'd never heard about him before. And I was very intrigued of his story about William Wilberforce. Then he spoke about Dr. Martin Luther King, and he was talking about all these individuals who had made significant impacts. And he mentioned how many people were showing up at some of the lectures I remember Dr. Martin Luther King was doing. And he posed the question, how do you think he got all the people to attend when there was no email or internet? And we were all like, I don't know. And he said, well, if you do some reading, you'll find that he actually wrote thousands upon thousands of handwritten letters inviting people. And I was like, whoa, that's wild, really? He's like, yeah, it's the small, consistent actions that make the biggest changes. And so he used these individuals to try and help us realize that if we just took a small act consistently, we can make a difference. He did not give us an assignment or a challenge, but I was so inspired and moved by the class that I just started asking myself, what is a small, consistent action I could take to change something? And he was always telling us that the most meaningful moments in life are serving people or serving others. And so I was trying to answer the question in the context of being helpful to my community. And garbage was just the first thing I saw. It felt very accessible for me. It didn't feel overwhelming, like I had to be some sort of professor to start doing crazy research or anything of this nature. Anyone can pick up trash.
Yeah.
And that's really what happened in his class.
Wow. Do you still talk to him?
I have lunch with him and his wife Joan at least once a year on their porch, about a 45-minute drive from my house.
It's amazing. And so this turned into Pick Waste. Is that the name of what this officially became?
Correct. Because
Yeah.
we live in Pickering and we were picking up trash. It's
Love
good
it.
marketing.
Yeah. Love a good fun. Is it still thriving? Is it still around?
The co-founder Dylan and I continued the project on a weekly basis with the support of some other young people when we were out of the city or couldn't make it to a cleanup for just over 5 years.
Wow.
And after those 5 years, we tried handing it off a few times to a few other individuals because some of our priorities and some of the work we were doing was starting to pull us away from the city. And having a routine commitment to being home every Saturday morning was really hard as things changed. And we had some struggles handing it off with the way things were being run afterwards, and decided that it's probably best at this point in time to just put a pause in the project and continue sharing it in a way that inspires other people to start their own small projects. And it was a very hard decision. We actually continued it for maybe 2 summers more than in our hearts we felt we should have.
Yeah.
But I hope the ripples continue.
Of course. I can only imagine they do. Do you still engage with soccer at all? How's your relationship with the sport now?
I love it. I still watch it. I play it. I've made amends with a lot of my teammates. It took me a few years to really rebuild my relationship with myself and also with sport. I'm a little competitive, so I end up injuring myself every time I get back on a field. I think I still have the same skill set and abilities that I had back then, but I don't. My body's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found peace through the whole scenario.
Are you comfortable sharing the tools, resources, ways that you were able to come to that piece?
Yeah. I think the first thing was choosing a new skill and working really hard at building that new skill to convince my own brain and beliefs that you're not just an athlete. You're not just a soccer player. You're not just anything that you choose to do. You are a
Mhm.
human being capable of things beyond your wildest imagination. And if you apply yourself to a new skill over a long period of time, I find that you start to do better at it and you start to build a little bit of confidence when it comes to that specific thing. Choosing a new skill for me, which was speaking and performing, really helped me um, get involved, build that self confidence, shift my mindset. The second part that really helped me was surrounding myself with people who believed in me sometimes more than I believed in myself.
Mm-hmm.
You call them kind mates. Find your kind mates. For me, it was a young man named Lucas, who is one of my best friends. I refer to him as my brother. I don't hang up the phone without telling my friends that I love them because I don't know if it's the last phone call I'll ever have with them. And it's just how I genuinely feel in my heart. And Lucas is one of those people who would drop everything to serve and support or help or remind me of my brilliance in moments when I'm struggling to see it in myself. Surrounding myself with those people really helped during that time as well. I also uh, have been to and seen a therapist at many different points in my life, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's going through a challenge. It's a beautiful opportunity for someone to hold up a mirror to yourself and better understand who you are and how you operate.
Yeah.
And after my sports journey took a shift, I realized through therapy that I had this belief that I wasn't good enough,
Mm.
and it was something that we worked through together. Um, so yeah, I would say choosing a new skill and building competence at it really helps. Surrounding yourself with some new kind mates, and even seeing a therapist or a counselor could be really helpful, and it helped me a lot.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for being so vulnerable. We say kind makers, and now I'm like, kind
Oh my
mates. I am
gosh!
loving. No, this is brilliant. You're giving us like new language. So I love it. Thank you. Like, who are my kind mates? Let me, I hope you'll be my kind mate.
Yeah,
No, this is so inspiring. I think what I love about this story, it's the reminder that we're so many parts. We're not defined by one thing. I do think it's really easy to feel like our worth is tied to a singular thing, be
yeah,
it family, a career. There's so many things that propel us, but we're so much more than that, and it's that reminder that life is long and who knows what it's going to throw at you. But if you can be prepared and adaptable to pivot, it's not always easy. But I think you're reminding us of what happens when you do, when you embrace that. So thank you. I'd love to hear about what you're up to today. So you found this new skill that you're competent in and worked really hard at it. I heard you did Toastmasters and now you're out there speaking around the world. So tell us a little bit, like, how did you even land on that? Like, what was that decision to be like, speaking? I'll go from soccer to speaking.
so random, right? I
Yes.
I, I start pick waste. We begin picking up garbage. We need more volunteers. Thought crosses my mind. What if we speak in front of our entire high school about the story, why it started to get people excited to come pick up trash with us? Walked into the principal's office when I was still a high school student, asked for their permission to have 3 minutes at the end of a pre existing monthly assembly. My principal said yes. I did this 3 minute speech and it sucked. It was so bad. And I'm so grateful that my chaplain at the school at the time filmed it on his phone upside down. You can actually find the video if you scroll far enough on our Instagram page. And it's funny because halfway through, he's whispering under his breath saying, "Wow, this kid's actually pretty good." I was like, I don't know if you were watching the same speech that I saw. Um, but we got about 60 students to give email addresses to join our mailing list to come pick up garbage. And I thought, holy, if we do this at every school in our district, we're going to have hundreds of volunteers. I asked my principal if he would introduce me to the other principals in the district. He said yes. And that year, I probably did about 20 to 30 voluntary 5 minute performances at a bunch of local high schools. And after one of them, a principal pulled me aside and essentially said, look, we bring in people to do a longer version of what you just did. Sometimes they speak for 30 minutes and get students excited about certain things and teach them a few things that are valuable and important. But they usually are pulling out their phones, talking to their neighbors, not paying attention. But when you spoke, they listened, and some of them laughed and some of them got emotional and they wanted to talk to you afterwards. Can you please come back and do something for our school for 30 minutes? And I was like, I don't know what the heck I want to say for 30 minutes. But yes, let's do it. This sounds cool. And I went ahead. I went home. I wrote out some stories. I went back to the school, did a 30-minute thing. And he gave me a honorarium, a $50 check. And I was like, why are you paying me for this? And he said, because you deserve it. You did a really great job. And I want this to be encouragement for you to continue. And it got me so curious because I felt like I was making a contribution. I really enjoyed it personally and was having fun. And now this individual was telling me I should continue and that maybe it's something I can continue doing. I went home and I searched speaker, youth speaker, keynote speaker on Google, and I called everybody I could find on the first few pages and told them, I'm a young guy. I want to do what you're doing. Can I ask you some questions? Most of the people picked up the phone themselves, gave me their time. I took a bunch of notes and acted on all of it. And it was that encouragement at that high school from that principal, phone calls with those speakers that really redirected my life down this path.
Wow. Wow. So, okay, I want to hear about that specific instance. As you're speaking, are you feeling a change? Like you're seeing the kids be affected, but what was happening to you?
I was choking on stage. Those first few presentations were not great. Um, there's a video of one at Dumbarton High School, which I'll never forget. I was on stage. I had 20 minutes. Halfway through, I totally forgot what I was trying to say because back then I would memorize every single word of the performance. And if you forget one word, you lose your whole train of thought.
Yeah.
Halfway through the speech, that's what happened. I paused for like 15 seconds, which feels like an eternity when you're standing in front of a room of people. And then I said, I'm so sorry. I forgot what I was going to say. I'll be back. And I walked off stage and had my notes there. And I got the word I was stuck on and walked back on stage and continued. So I think at the start, I was just really concerned about, am I doing a good job? Am I connecting with people? And then, later on in my career, I realized it's not even about the person on stage. The reason someone's standing on stage is because they have a story or an idea that could be helpful and beneficial to the people in the audience. And when you look at your performing from that perspective, yes, you could be nervous and scared or super excited and grateful. But those emotions shouldn't propel or hold you back if the mission is about helping the people in the room.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think reminding myself that it's bigger than me is really helpful. And when I give myself permission to relive the experiences when I tell them on stage, people in the audience tend to feel it more as well.
So, what are the themes of what you speak about, and how did you decide that would be what you focus on with these talks?
Yeah. One of my first memories of kindness is Nunno Sam, my grandfather, who worked 3 jobs to provide a better future for his kids. He worked at a farm, he worked at a car manufacturing plant, and then he did odd jobs on the side that my grandma never knew about. And he would take the cash and kind of keep it in his wallet. Um, when he passed away when I was 13, they found a couple like $1,000 bills in his wallet from like 10 years of jobs that my grandma never knew about because she was the one who managed the finances, which is hilarious. Anyway, I bring his name up because he would work on a farm, and the owner of the farm gave him a plot of land that he could grow his own vegetables on as a way to thank him for the work he was doing for him. And it was so like it was an extraordinary amount of land for the small family that we have. So he would grow squash and hundreds of squash, and he would just put them in cardboard boxes and drive to all of his friends' homes and all the family and just drop the box on your front porch and no notice.
Mm.
You just open the door and there'd be a box of squash, and you were like, "Oh, Nana Sam came by." um, and I think there's so many stories like that of my grandparents that that I pull and feel inspired by them. So kindness kind of came about from those interactions and stories.
Mm.
Another big topic I speak on is mental health, and it's because of my own challenges through the soccer journey. I feel like I can be of service and support to other young people or any human being who's going through a challenge or a struggle. I also speak on just being a, a good human being and understanding that everyone is going through something. And so empathy, I guess empathy would be a big part of it as well.
Mm.
Um, Almost all of the things I speak about are things I speak about because of personal observations and experiences I've had. And that's how I really
Mm.
land on them.
This season of Why Kindness is made possible by the Wasserman Glasser family in loving memory of Sandra K. Wasserman. Sandra believed that kindness could change the world, and she had a remarkable way of making everyone feel seen, valued, and loved. Her signature phrase was simple, yet powerful: "Thank you for your kindness." Her belief in kindness as a force for change is the very heartbeat of this podcast. In her honor, we invite listeners to do the same. Think of someone who has shown you kindness and let them know. A simple thank you can ripple farther than we ever could imagine. From the Wasserman Glasser family, thank you for your kindness. We are honored to carry Sandra's light forward into this season. If you could wave a wand, what is it you hope these kids walk away with? I know you're not only speaking to students
Yeah.
anymore, but when you're at the schools, looking at the next generation, the ones who were you 20 years ago, what is it you want them to get out of hearing from you?
Yeah. Number one, you have a backpack. I use a backpack for a metaphor of our minds.
Mhm.
Um, Emptying it of the things that weigh you back, holds you down, stop you from being yourself, so important. And it's something you don't have to do alone. Reach out for support in moments when your backpack feels really heavy.
Mhm.
Secondly, everyone has a backpack that we have no context over. So please pause before you use certain words or make a choice and ask yourself, is this going to make somebody else's experience better, or is it going to make it more challenging? And if it's not going to make it better, choose a different choice.
Mm.
And thirdly, life has endless possibilities. Set some goals for yourself and things that you're excited about working on, and figure out some actions you could take to move closer to those goals, dreams, or the impact you want to leave behind. If if students or anyone hears a performance of mine and they are more proactive about their own well-being, they're more empathetic and kind to others because they understand they also have stories in their backpacks, and they're working on things that light them up and are excited about, I would feel like I fulfilled our mission.
Yeah. Have you faced adversity in this new place you've been in? Like beyond the soccer experience, I'm curious what it's been like trying to build this and do this as a career.
Yeah, absolutely. Loving people, having a close family and close friends, and traveling 200 days a year is very hard at times. Um, when I started doing this work, I was a high school student, convincing or helping a 50 or 60 or sometimes 70-year-old principal see value in bringing in a 17-year-old to speak about life. um, was quite a challenge at the start of the journey. I think the biggest barrier was my own self belief, my own baggage, the things I had to let go of. Because at the end of the
Mm.
day, other people's opinions of us definitely make things challenging, but it's ultimately our own opinion of ourselves that either stops us or pushes us forward to continue. Getting over
Mhm.
some of those things was a big challenge. Any new skill you want to build, there's going to be a gap you have to fill. Finding the right people to learn from was challenging, and I was very fortunate that I did after a few years. Someone who drastically changed my life was a gentleman named Chris Cummins, who for 3 years had a phone call with me every Tuesday for 2 hours, where I would ask him questions and share challenges, and he would just selflessly give me solutions, ideas, and more questions to reflect on and try and figure out the things myself. So I would say, yeah, I had challenges with my age. I had challenges with figuring out how to make this actual thing work. Um, and then I had
Hmm.
challenges with balancing different priorities in my life despite the busy travel schedule.
Yeah. When you're on the road, what are you seeing out of the audiences? Do you feel like no matter where you go, you're speaking to people who are all in the same place mentally? Or do you feel like there's themes, that are emerging out of the different places you're speaking?
That's a really great question. I'm actually going to pull up a message that I got yesterday. So I spoke at Wake
Okay.
Preparatory Academy, which is a school in North Carolina. Shout out to Wake Prep. And this student reached out and said, "Hey, Sam, thanks for speaking at our school today. I wanted to share with you the impact you made. When we were saying, during your poem, which is like a funny engagement thing I do during the poem I share, I was one of the only friends in my group to actually do it. And my friend looked over and said, 'Hey, why are you actually participating?' And I was immediately shocked at her comment. I responded with, 'Why not?' and continued to enjoy your performance. Today, I was reminded how to live, despite the judgment put on to me by others. So thank you so much for the reminder." Um,
Hmm.
every audience I speak to has different things going on. Like, I don't know what people's experiences are. I don't know what challenges they've had. Whether it happened the day I arrived there or a year ago or last week. But I think the emotions humans experience are very similar. I've spoken now in Canada, the United States, I've spoken in Kenya, and the circumstances people are in are very different. But the idea of loss or grief or heartbreak, or gratitude, appreciation, and joy are human experiences. So
Mhm.
if we can touch on those things, I think um, most people are going through similar feelings. I shared that one with you just because I also want to highlight that one of the big things I hope people always take away is just giving themselves permission to be themselves. If you want to play,
Yeah.
play. If you want to participate, participate.
Yeah.
Um, that life is just too short to live it based on other people's expectations of you.
Yeah. Love that. Do you feel like this is the future, or do you see other chapters in your life that will start to introduce themselves into where you go and what comes next for you?
I mean, this journey started by accident. So
Yeah.
I do have goals and values and a mission, although sometimes I feel that setting goals can limit what's possible for you just as much as it excites you. Because what if what's possible is bigger than the goal that you write down on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
And one of the really big aspirations is to um, fill stadiums with families. So imagine 20 to 40,000 people coming together to uh, a half comical, half motivational show with a lineup of performers and presenters. The audience would leave laughing, learning something, getting emotional, but also being reminded of what it means to be a human being.
Mhm.
Um, and that's something that as a team, there's three of us are really working on and excited about in the future. It has encouraged me to start taking stand-up comedy class and building some new skills that will help me, move closer to this goal and this dream that we have. Um, but outside of that, it's just each day asking, to be of service. Can I be
Mhm.
of service today? And if that continues, I'm not sure what capacity it might change, but if that stays true, I think that we'll be doing good.
I love it. I have had a pretty tough year, and I was thinking a lot about the things I put off because of time and overwhelm and just too busy, right? The list is always there.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, why not? Like, why can't I just do this one thing or try this one thing? So I signed up for improv classes.
No way.
Yeah. And it has been such a delight, like so much joy brought into my life from it. And it's not even about it being a huge time commitment or anything of that. It was about getting over my comfort zone. Like, who am I to get on stage to do improv? But I think it's that reminder, like we all are going through things, but we all can take these actions and it's teaching you something, and who knows where this will go. So maybe in the future you'll see me on a stage next to you doing my improv performance.
That's awesome. I love it.
Amazing. So did you have a chance to take the KQ?
I did the test.
Okay, so a little bit of context for our listeners. If you haven't already taken it, you can go to kindness.org/KQ. The KQ is our new 3-minute questionnaire designed to help you understand your own internal kindness. And right now it's designed for neighbors, and we're soon launching the one for colleagues in November. And it really is designed to get people to think about the actions they're willing to take for others, and a hook to hopefully get you to try to do those small micro actions that you've heard from Sam on the power that they can have. So we're asking our guests to take it and we're going to talk about it. So, okay, tell me first, if you're comfortable, start with your score and then like talk a little bit about going through the journey of taking it, the good, the bad, like what it was like for you doing this.
I wish I did it right before this interview because I did do it a few weeks ago. I can
Yeah, all good.
remember that
All good.
the score was in the 70s.
Okay.
I was reflecting a lot on each question and trying to really detach from this desire to do well because it felt like a quiz or a test in school,
Yeah.
and genuinely ask myself, do I do this or would I do this? And
Mm.
there was some actions that I was like, no, that's just not me. And then there was other actions where I was like, yeah, that's me. I do that. That's how I live my life. So that was one interesting feeling or observation that came up while I was taking it. I think being an athlete and being so focused on outcomes and results, I was like,
Mhm.
I need to, I need to, I need to accomplish something. I need to win this thing. And it's like there's nothing to win. Just answer the questions genuinely,
Yeah.
and honestly. So yeah, that was one thing. It also gave me some ideas on things that you could do that maybe I
Yeah.
wasn't even considering. So yeah, that was my experience with it. I would love to know what yours was if you remember when you took it for the first time.
Thank you. Yes. I think it was 88. But what I love about this, it's able to change. And the point of it more is you know, kindness, it's personal and it's a
Yeah.
willingness to try to challenge ourselves. We wanted to do something that was rooted in research and also allowed people to engage around the world to just start to examine how they're showing up with kindness. And what we have heard from people is exactly what you're saying, like, oh, I haven't thought about this thing, or oh, I don't even know my neighbor's name, or no, I would never think to do these kinds of things. But what are those small things we can start to do? Because every act does make a difference. Some of the kindest acts we can do toward our neighbor is just saying good morning and acknowledging them, letting them know you see them, especially in a world where we can be so distracted. And I think, similar to you, I thrive on the scoring and, like, wanting to do really well. So I was a lot of the things I'm like, "I'm saying I would do this, but would I really?" Like, really pushing myself to think
Yeah.
deeply, "How do I show up? And then what's something I can do to get out of my comfort zone?" And so I really have loved seeing those stories emerge of what we're doing differently as a result, or how we're thinking about it differently. Yeah, so thank you. I really appreciate you sharing. It's something to, we hope to keep introducing other versions because we show up differently with different people, right? Like who we are with our family is so different than who we are with strangers. But that's those different parts, right? Like kindness is so big and it's not a one size fits all. So thank you. I'm glad you did it and like love hearing more about that experience. Okay. So I love to do kind of like a round robin of questions where I'll just like throw questions at you and you can answer like quick and kind of spontaneously. So there's no wrong answers here. Okay. You're going to
Okay.
do great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Sam, define kindness in one word.
I would say empathy.
Beautiful. What book are you reading or listening to?
There's a gentleman named Alex Hormozy. He just released a new book. Our team is reading it. It's called $100 Million Money Models. Very tactical business related book. And that's what I'm currently reading.
Hey, amazing. What prompted that?
Well, he actually launched a new book, and he's been really influential in terms of the business side of the work we're doing. I was always the artist or the person that just wanted to go on stage and share cool stories, and realize that like you also have to live a life, like figure out all these other parts of the work you're doing that I didn't have as much passion about. And so taking the initiative to learn a little bit about it's been awesome. What prompted
Mm.
it is that we have a small team of 3 people right now, and we do a book club every 2 weeks. Each member chooses a new book and we all read it and then talk about it 2 weeks later. And one of the other members on the team loves Alex Hormozy and was like, "Hey, this is our next book." And we were all like, "Okay, let's do it."
Like,
Yeah.
also, can we celebrate that you can read books in 2 weeks, like, and keep
Yeah,
that
yeah.
going? Like, oh my gosh, it takes me so long. That is a very, committed group and a very competitive maybe group who's like, "We can do this." If you could get everyone around the world to do one kind act today, what would it be?
Use people's names, and if you don't know the name, ask people what their name is and then use it.
Mm, we have not heard that one, and I love it. Thank
Mm.
you. Who do you wanna thank for teaching you kindness?
My nonno, my grandfather, Nonno Sam. If I could have a meal with him right now, I just feel like it would be the coolest thing in the world. He indirectly taught me so much, and I wish I had a little more time with him before he passed when I was a little kid so I could ask him some more serious questions.
Mhm.
So yeah, my grandfather.
I love that. I'm sure he's incredibly proud, and, no doubt he's celebrating alongside of you and all that you've achieved in his honor, it sounds like, so thank you, Nano. Okay, if kindness were a song, what song would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I Can by Chronix. That's
Oh,
a song that gets me lit up, and I love it.
okay, I can't wait to listen to it, I've never heard of it.
Look it up.
Amazing. What is the one thing you want everyone to hear from you?
Hmm. I would say there's no strangers. We're all just people on this planet that we haven't met yet. Um, and if you lead in every interaction from that perspective, start to realize we're all just one family that's trying to figure out where we fit and how we operate all together.
Love that, Sam. Thank you. Okay, so we like to end on action. And I'm so glad I'm with the right person who I know believes in this. So the episode's made possible by the Wasserman family, and it's in honor of Sandra K. Wasserman, who always said thank you for your kindness to everyone she engaged with. And so we would love you to call or text someone that you want to say thank you to them for the role they've played in your life, the kindness they've shown to you. So who will that be, Sam?
I'm gonna call Lucas,
Okay,
my
Lucas.
one of my brothers.
Your kind mate
Yeah.
Lucas.
Lucas. I'm gonna put it on speaker.
Okay, we got it.
Hopefully he picks up. Come on, phone. I'm gonna leave him a voicemail.
Thank you so much for calling, and I hope you have a great day. At the tone, please record your message. When you are finished recording, you may hang up or press pound for more options.
Hey, brother, I'm currently on a podcast interview with an amazing organization all about kindness. And the last question of the interview was to just thank someone for their kindness. And you were the first person that popped in my head. I am so grateful you're in my life. I always smile when you send me those good morning text messages. And I love you a lot, man. Thank you for the way you show up. Thank you for everything you do for me. And I'm always here. Give me a call anytime. Love you, bro. Peace.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you. That was amazing. Is there anything else, Sam, that you feel like we didn't cover that you would want to make sure we speak about?
No, this was awesome. Thanks for the opportunity.
Why Kindness is made possible by the Wasserman Glasser family in loving memory of Kindmaker Sandra K. Wasserman. More information on our guest and topics from this episode are available in the show notes. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and would love to hear what you think. Please leave a review wherever you listen and join us on social media and at kindness.org to learn more about how you can be a kindmaker. We will continue exploring this question, why kindness, throughout the season. So stay tuned, friend, and thank you for your kindness.